Hey followers, this is your boy, Movie Maker Dev 55. Here we are again on Relentless and Unstoppable. I'm with my coach and mentor, actor Andy McPhee, and today we have Jim Price with us today, and he has a story to share about becoming a children's book author. Hey Jim, how you doing?
How you doing today? I'm glad to be a part of this podcast, and I really appreciate the invite to being a part of this. I mean, it's a great opportunity to be able to share.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, and thank you for accepting to come on and share your story. And thanks for Doug for finding you. I don't know how he found you, but he's a good at researching and finding great people. So awesome, wonderful to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, so to tell you a little bit about how I first interacted with you, I found you on Facebook and I looked at what you've written about, your hero in your children's book series, and I was very impressed by it, being that I'm also a children's book author. So we start these interviews with a simple question, which is, what are you doing these days?
So as of right now, I've been doing a lot of book promotional things. I have some book signings coming up. I've also been taking a lot of time to spend with my daughter, who is with me a lot, and we do our thing. So in the summer times for our school districts.
Sorry, Jim. Sorry, Jim. I can't hear you. The volume must be. Let me see. Okay, is your Can you talk very quick? I can't hear you.
Yeah. Hello. Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. There we go. Now I can hear you. Sorry, must have been something on my end. Let's just start that part again.
Okay. Well, what I've been up to primarily is just doing a lot of book promotional things, doing book book signings and things of that nature, reaching out to community. As you know, in Massachusetts, I'm actually, from the same city of Dr. Seuss. So we're actually been trying to connect with the museum over there with a Dr. Seuss exhibit to try to set up like a kids book signing for kids over there in the community. And the other part of it is spending time with my daughter. My daughter, she's 10. And so, we spend a lot of time in the summertime doing different things, just trying to, get through in that way. So, and I also am always trying to create new ideas for future, book series things, in terms of like future ideas I could use in developing the concepts for future books too.
Hey, Jim, can I ask you a question? Well, before I ask you a question, I'm going to tell you you're really color coordinated. Your shirt matches the painting behind you.
Yes, this is the hero from the.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it looks really great. It's perfect.
Thank you.
So how do you I'm when I say I'm not a writer, we can all write, but I'm not a writer in the sense of what you guys are. How do you get your ideas? Where do they grow from?
A lot of my ideas, over the years, I've just come up with like my own way of kind of putting together social skill ideas and concepts. Some of it is just, just jotting down, like I might come out with an idea for something that's as a social skill component to it. And then what I'll do is I'll jot it down, but maybe I wouldn't completely finish it, but I'll jot down some ideas. And then as I go along, that idea gets more and more fleshed out, and before you know it, it's like, okay, now I have a real concept of and a direction of where I want to go, or what the lesson I want to be in this, in this particular book, which is, all of this is based on social skill building. So I mean, it's always good to try to keep it simple, but also so that it's informative, so that it could be easily understood and enjoyable for kids to read.
Oh, that's really good. Have you ever thought about animations, like, having your books turn into animations? Because I think that would be fantastic.
I'm actually friends with an executive director who is been kind of, just helping me a little bit. He's an inspirational person who believes in like helping others and things like that. So we've been in the back, kind of in the back. That's kind of in the background of just plans that that could. I'm looking at that could be a possibility, but you always make sure all your avenues open. But I am friends with executive director, and we've been. I mean, he's a great guy, and I mean, he's been, just giving me guidance and understanding about how the dynamics of that would work if we were to transition to that kind of.
That'd be fantastic. Really would be. And just leading on from what you said about ideas. As I said, I've been working as an actor for 30 years, and two of my children are actors, and one of them, Cody, when we first came to America, his first job here was The Road with Viggo Mortensen, that post-apocalyptic film. So Cody was Viggo's son in that movie, so it was a huge role for Cody. He was actually one of the lead in it alongside Viggo. So we got the opportunity to talk to Cormac McCarthy over a lunch. And so it was Cody and myself and Cormac and his son. And I asked him, I said, how did you come across the idea to write the Road? And he just said, well, it was funny. He said, I was standing out on my balcony one day where he lives down in Santa Fe. He said, I was just looking out at the countryside and the trees and life. And he said, something just came to me. He said, what happens if all this stopped? Like just stopped. The world fell apart and just went to mayhem, like everything ceased. There's no power, no shops, everything, just total mayhem. And then he said, I looked at my son and thought, wow, how would we survive? And I thought, wow, really interesting, and then his son was talking to him, and the first thing his son said to him, I think his son was at the time about 11, maybe the same age as Cody. Cody was only 11 when he did that movie. And his son turned to his dad and said, hey, Papa. And I went, oh, I got chills through me. And Cody, I saw him flinch, because that's the whole dialogue through the film. Cody going, hey, Papa, hey, Papa. When we finished the lunch and they left, I went, Cody, did you hear that? I said, that's what his son actually says to him, and it was so funny because we didn't know this. Yeah. And when Cody was doing it in the movie, he said it exactly like his son did. Cody said it the same to Viggo as Cormac's son said to him. It was just like a whoa moment, But I just love the fact how authors and scriptwriters come up with their ideas, and I love the fact that you do it for social skills, because that's something that is really valued and is valuable and is needed, especially right now, what the world's going through,
Mm-hmm.
Doug, to you, mate.
Yeah, I must ask you, Jim, what struggles did you overcome to become the children's book author that you're known as?
I know one of the things, I think poverty was definitely a role, played a lot of role in how the dynamics of myself was shaped. Growing up in the inner city, it was always good times, but there are always difficult times too. And I think sometimes when you're in that element of dealing with poverty, it teaches you lessons about being able to survive and, becoming a survivor and things. Because, if you're able to survive through poverty and all those things, those aspects of like street violence and things of that nature that happen in a lot of the communities, you're able to put yourself in a position where, okay, now you've prepared yourself to be able to meet the adversity of mostly any situation moving forward, So for me, I think poverty definitely was something. And then I think also the aspect of just community interaction, because a lot of times we try to, they try to be mentors of the community, and sometimes there's so few of them. And
Sorry, I can't hear you again. Let me see very quick.
Yeah, not sure what happens. I don't think it's you, Doug. I don't think it's Jim. There's something between, because it happened before and I couldn't hear Jim either. So I'm not sure.
I can hear you guys now.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now. That's it. It's just funny.
Yeah.
It just drops out, but that's okay. Hey, we want to hear it again, so you can say it again.
Yeah.
Well, I would say poverty definitely was definitely was a part of my life growing up, and being able to work through that dynamic and keep family as a priority, and being able to grow and nurture yourself in an environment that can be difficult at times. I think a lot of that played a role in my overall development, because most of the time they say if you can survive through adversity like that. I was told one time that one of my mentors had actually told me, when you go through difficult times, it actually helps you grow stronger, so that when you get where you're going, you'll appreciate it more because of all the things that you went through to get there. So that's one of the mentors in the community had told me that, and that always stuck with me. So even though you're dealing with the poverty and maybe the aspects of violence in the community and stuff like that, that was something that one of my mentors had told me, and it always stuck with me and helped me to push through a lot of the adversity to be able to, survive and do the things I need to do in terms of to the point where I am right now,
Just a question. Did you deal with racism at all?
Yeah, there was, I mean, in different elements, yes. I know at a point in my life I was playing basketball and things like that, so I was into basketball for a little bit. But then when my eligibility had ran out, I was no longer able to do that part, but I was able to continue with my education. So there would be some instances where I'm on campus, and it would best be assumed, this is after the basketball, that I'm only on campus because I'm tall, I'm a tall guy, so I must be playing sports if I'm on campus, which is totally not the truth. I've been in the National Dean's List publication back in, when, the day of my educational endeavors and things like that. So, I mean, and even in the sense of maybe dealing with, officers and authority and things like that, there's been the dynamics there too that I've had a chance to experience that definitely has shaped a lot of who I am today, being more aware, being more conscious, but also being more understanding that, people can change, and people can have a perception or a dynamic within their minds, but people can change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm, I love networking and meeting people. And I was talking to a lady that I know overseas. We just happened to connect up on social media, and she's very interesting. She lives in Europe, and she has very, very strong views because of her culture, like being brought up in communist countries, etc. And, just a whole different culture than what we're used to. And at times she gets really vocal on social media on my posts. So I blocked her once, and she said, "Why'd you block me?" I said, "Because that's not what I'm about." I said,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but my social media is not about that. It's about more the world I've come from, who I was, with a lot of the violence and anger and what I do now. If I wanted that platform, I'd have a separate platform for dealing with social issues and politics. I'm not good at it, so I don't do it. I listen, I'm aware, but I don't do it. And she got a little bit sort of upset with me. But then we talked, and my thing is, years ago I would have just blocked her again and said, I'm not worried about it. Now I don't. And she actually texted me today and said, I'm really grateful. She said, you do arc up a little bit. I said, yeah, of course I do, because that's a little bit of the old me in me. That's what's kept me alive so long, right? And she said, and I do too. She said, but what I love about you is you keep going and you calm me down and don't make me wrong. And I thought, oh, wow, that's so cool, because that's what I used to do, is make people wrong.
Yeah.
So it was just nice to hear. She said, I really appreciate that, because she said, I do know I'm outspoken, but it's great to have someone who listens but doesn't make you wrong. So I think, what I hear from you too, Jim, is that, what you've been through, what came up for me when you say the word poverty, I have no idea I know what you're talking about, but I've never experienced it. So I go, oh, well, that's bad. I don't know how bad it is because I've never done it. I've been broke, and broke's not poverty. It's just broke it sometimes, but I've never lived where you literally don't have anything to survive. You've got to find money for food or whatever. So it's great that you can share that and what you've learned out of that, how you got through it, how your parents got through it. And then you see the social issues around the culture that you're from and what you live in, and you can share that with kids in books without pointing the finger. We got to do this, and they're right, and this is that. No, it's beautiful. I think you need to write one for adults.
Yeah,
I really do.
I do get that now oftentimes from this book right here. They'll say, "Yeah, actually, this is something that adults should probably read."
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, for sure, mate. And because kids take it in, like they love cartoons, and I love cartoons, and I never ever, my life was never driven by the road runner blowing up the rabbit or whatever, or someone throwing a stick of dynamite, or what's his name? I used to love it, the big rooster who goes, "Hey boy," and he'd slap someone, or the Three Stooges. I never went around hitting people with hammers or slapping them with shovels, or I just laughed at it. And I understand why people say, "Oh, it's not appropriate." Well, okay, maybe, but I don't think it affected too many people. I think we laughed more than anything, but it's great that you can share your stories, because kids take notice of cartoons and animations rather than an adult going, "Hey, yeah, whatever." Bugs Bunny didn't say that.
Yeah, not only that, but I grew up with a lot of cartoons like Tom and Jerry and Yosemite Sam, and I got a kick out of them.